I'd like to call the meeting to order. The invocation will be given by Councilwoman Robinson. After Councilwoman Robinson, we'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand. Our Heavenly Father, we give thanks. We give thanks for our community. We give thanks for those that have joined us tonight to make the decisions. We ask that you bless us with decisions that would be good for our community. Also bless our community and those that reside within as we go back and forth. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If everybody will face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone. My name is Ricky Hines. I'm the mayor here at this great town of Winterville. And we'd like to welcome the people that are watching us on YouTube as well. Tonight we have a pretty packed agenda, I should say. But we're ready to get down to the town business. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? So moved.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion made by Councilman Johnny Moore, second by Councilwoman Veronica Robinson. Any discussion before we call for the vote? If none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carry. Next up, we have the proclamations, and the proclamation will be read by Mr. Don Harvey, our clerk.
We have two proclamations tonight. First one being the Martin Luther King Day proclamation. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great moral leader who espoused peace and the brotherhood of man, and whereas Dr. King advanced the cause of the attainment of social changes for all people and the establishment of the beloved community worldwide, and whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. admonished us to faith, wisdom, and conviction that racial harmony can be achieved and left us a blueprint for harmonious relationships, let us therefore embrace his principles of love, peace, and nonviolence, as well as freedom and justice for all. And whereas a national holiday has been established by law to observe the anniversary of Dr. King's birth, and whereas the state of North Carolina has established the third Monday in January as a legal holiday in honor of his birth, now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the town of Winterville, proclaim January 15th, 2024 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day throughout the town of Winterville. I urge all citizens to avail themselves of the splendid opportunity to remember and celebrate the life of Dr. King, whose struggle for civil rights and noble pursuit of equality for all Americans deserve our heartfelt appreciation. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of January, 2024. Richard E. Hines, Mayor. Off a few months and I can't read.
It's all right.
Apologize for those.
Glad everybody.
The second proclamation is the Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, 2024. Whereas human trafficking involves the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, buying or selling of human beings for their services of labor or commercial sex through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas human trafficking violates basic human rights and deprives victims of human dignity and freedom, and whereas human trafficking is a growing global and national problem, with North Carolina being consistently ranked among the top 15 states for prevalence in human trafficking, and whereas in Pitt County, the Pitt County Human Trafficking Multidisciplinary Team responds to local victimization at increasing rates, whereas sex buyers are the reason that children and adults are being groomed and recruited by traffickers into the exploitive sex industry, And whereas our community must hold accountable those people who purchase sex, exploit workers, and those people who look the other way. And whereas the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking seeks to eradicate human trafficking by empowering organizations and individuals through collaboration, leadership, and training. And whereas NC Stop Human Trafficking, ECU Health, Daughters of Worth, Pitt County Sheriff Department, the Greenville Police Department, the Center of Family Violence Prevention, and many other organizations are active members of the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking, Pitt County Human Trafficking Multidisciplinary Team. And whereas the town of Winterville is committed to protecting people vulnerable to human trafficking and taking action to end human trafficking by holding the sex buyers and traffickers accountable. Now therefore, I, Richard E. Hines, Mayor of the town of Winterville, do hereby proclaim January 2024 as Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month in the town of Winterville and commend its observance to all citizens. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of January 2024. Richard E. Hines, Mayor.
Thank you, Don. Is it a representative from Human Trafficking? Yeah, if you could come to the podium, please. Can you state your name?
Catherine Barkley with the Center for Family Violence Prevention.
Well, we want to, of course, you heard our proclamation. Is there anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you so much, Mayor Hines. We really appreciate the town of Winterville's support. NC Stop Human Trafficking on their website has a list of trainings this month and just helping spread awareness about human trafficking.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, we have the public hearing. If Stephen could come to the podium, Quill Trace subdivision rezoning request.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council.
Good evening.
The Town of Winterville has received a rezoning that is labeled Quail Trace subdivision. The applicant is Garden Street Community Southeast. The site is located on Highway 11, between Highway 11 and Reedy Branch Road. This is just east of Copper Creek, Summer Winds, and Magnolia Ridge. You may remember this property a couple years ago. Somebody came for a rezoning for an R6 that was turned down. The current zoning is agricultural residential. This current application is requesting R10 conditional district. The applicant has requested to impose these conditions in which all external materials on the home will consist of hardy plank, stone, or brick. This condition was added after the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. A lot of times once they see some of the concerns of the community and Planning and Zoning Board, they will add some conditions, which is always good for the product itself as well as the town to ensure a good quality project. Notification was posted on the site November 8th, 2023. Adjacent property owners were notified of the Planning and Zoning Board meeting on November 14th. Adjacent property owners were notified of this public hearing and those within 100 feet of the property on December 22nd, 2023. And 2 advertisements within the Daily Reflector to meet state statute as well, December 27th and January 3rd, 2024. This is the property on the screen within the blue outline. This is the rezoning map laid just over top of it. Just an image of the rezoning map itself. Getting into the existing land use, Much of it is vacant land at the moment. Just north of it's vacant commercial land. Some active commercial land just to the south. Some single-family residential. To the west, you have, again, Summer Winds, Magnolia Ridge, Copper Creek, single-family neighborhoods. And so to the east, you have Highway 11, which somewhat creates a border for this property. But across Highway 11, you have vacant commercial land and some multifamily residential. Current zoning district, as previously stated, is agricultural residential. Just north of it is general business. Some land to the south is general business, shown in red as well. The peach color that you see is all agricultural residential. To the west, you have Copper Creek, which is R12-5. You have Summer Winds, which is R12-5 conditional district. And then you have Magnolia Ridge, which is R10 conditional district. Again, across Highway 11, even though Highway 11 creates somewhat of a buffer on this property, you see mostly industrial on the large gray tract, and then multifamily residential on the, it's kind of like a mustard color. Future land use plan for this site specifically is urban neighborhood. So everything you see in this color right here, it's kind of a peach color up there, a brownish color, is urban neighborhood. This purple color is mixed use. This is mostly kind of the Main Street downtown area. Once you go west across Reedy Branch Road, all of this is suburban residential. To the south, employment and residential. And if you're crossing Highway 11, again, that's kind of highway residential. You've got a lot of mixture of uses, mixed use, and urban neighborhood as well. To dive a little bit into what urban neighborhood actually means, it's primarily medium-sized lots with single-family detached residential uses, occasionally smaller lots, context-sensitive patio homes, if they're in the appropriate location. You're generally looking at 3 to 8 dwellings per acre. You could see some small-scale services, and restaurants, offices, things like that if it's a good location for such a use. With the 3 to 8 dwellings per unit, an R10 is theoretically 4.36 units per acre. However, once a road is placed in the subdivision with stormwater facilities and other factors, it'll actually be significantly less units per acre than the 4.36. Diving a little bit deeper into the urban neighborhood, is somewhat higher density, predominantly single-family detached residential, some attached housing or small-scale commercial, retail, restaurants, again, at very specific locations that may make sense. The potential zoning that is recommended by the future land use plan and the comprehensive plan is R12-5, R10, and R8. Now it says possibly neighborhood business, R6, and multifamily residential if certain criteria are met and it's an appropriate site for that. Uses small lot, single-family detached residential dominates, approximately 6,000 to 10,000 square foot lots. Duplexes again, or townhomes may be appropriate. Again, some small scale office or commercial may be appropriate at some locations as well. One of Winterville's land use goals, specifically within the economic development chapter, is to support rezonings to residential uses in the suburban, residential, and urban neighborhood areas as identified on the future land use map. And this is to help reinforce the town's identity as a family-friendly community. The applicant submitted this sketch. Again, we are at the rezoning phase, so this was not required. However, they wanted to just show the town what this site could look like, some of the ideas that they have for this site. Again, this is just a sketch to kind of go above and beyond to show council their idea of what this site could eventually turn into. It has not gone through any type of technical review committee review or town review, so again, it's just a sketch. So we've received a couple of phone calls, emails, or letters regarding this proposed rezoning. One of the neighboring residents stated a concern about the development and ultimately the quality of the developments and future homes on this land. We also received an email, or actually it was a telephone call, an email stating that the sketch plan showed the entrances that were adjacent to Copper Creek Drive and Sunrise Drive, which is Summerwind's entrance, and was concerned about the potential congestion and traffic accidents, and wishes it to be redesigned. At the Planning and Zoning Board, we had public comments as well. One of the first speakers was an owner of the property that lives in the area, but wants to make sure that this is a quality development because they live in the area as well. But they believe that this is going to be a good asset to the town of Winterville. A second resident who lived in Summerwinds is not so much concerned about growth in the area. In fact, they want growth for the area. They are concerned about the lot sizes. They're concerned about the entrances and exits and driveway locations and wish that it may be reconsidered. The third and final speaker was a property owner that lived adjacent to the proposed rezoning. They desired larger lots and ultimately were concerned on how this development could affect their property and their quality of life. Staff is recommending that the proposed R10 conditional district on this 34.72 acre site is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan and the future land use map. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezoning because of that. Planning and Zoning heard this presentation on November 20th, 2023. They recommended approval of this rezoning 7-1. Again, just to give you an overview of the rezoning process, Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval to Town Council at their November 20th meeting. Public hearing was scheduled at our December 11th Town Council meeting. Tonight we are holding the public hearing. If anybody has any questions, if not, I will step down and allow the public hearing.
Stephen, I
Yes,
have
sir.
one question. Going back to your, go all the way back where you have about the density, roll back, right there. Maybe I misread it. But they said bicycle and pedestrians, you have sidewalk on both sides?
Yeah, so this is the comprehensive future land use plan. It's a little bit ahead of the subdivision ordinance in some ways. This is a recommendation that someday the urban neighborhood area will have sidewalks on both sides. I will say, as of right now, our subdivision ordinance does not require sidewalks on both sides. There are pros and cons to that. And as you've seen in the past, there are some applicants who have desired to place a condition on it to place sidewalks on both sides. That is not a condition that is proposed with this development. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
One other thing. Are we going to have a turning lane going into the development?
So this is actually a NCDOT road on Reedy Branch. So NCDOT will actually be making that call during the construction aspect of this plan. So it would be next that we as staff, TCC, our technical review committee will review this to determine what is necessary, and NCDOT is a part of that board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions before we open up? All right, open up the public comment section, all right?
Hearing.
Public hearing, I'm sorry. If not, I open the public hearing now. If anyone would like to speak against it, step to the podium. If anyone would like to speak against this subdivision, will you please step to the podium? With that being none, anyone that would like to speak for this subdivision, could they please step to the podium and state their name?
Good evening. My name is Zach Doherty. Reside at 313 Stonehenge Drive in Dunn, North Carolina. Before I get started, I want to say it was a pleasure being here last month to watch everybody be sworn in. I believe I got to speak to most of you person to person, with the exception of Councilwoman Smith. You were busy running around with your hair on fire, so I apologize for not being able to speak to you, but wish you the best of luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
I work with Garden Street Communities. We were approached with the opportunity to purchase this piece of property from Mr. McLaughlin. Throughout this process, Stephen as well as Cliff have been a great help explaining the process as we move forward. I understand that there are some concerns about the R10 zoning. However, I want to reiterate that that is just the minimum lot size. And while, yes, this is just a conceptual design that we have put up, we plan to stick as close to this plan as possible. There was a question in the planning and zoning meeting about how many lots were at that bare minimum, and out of 91 lots, there are 18, and they are all internal lots that are right at that 10,000 square foot minimum. The reason that we would like this R10 zoning is that it allows us to have a wide range of lot sizes. So our lot size, largest one is just at 17,500 square feet, and of course the minimum being 10,000. That averages out to be 11,850 square feet per lot, and if you take out those minimum size lots, it takes the average up to 12,300. As Stephen pointed out, the future land use map, we were aware that there is a failed attempt by another organization to rezone to R6. It was my initial intention to propose an R8, and Stephen said, you might be able to get that through, but it's probably a better option to propose an R10. So I let him kind of steer me in that direction, and here we are. That being said, the future land use map, the R6 to ranging to the R10, the urban land neighborhood, urban neighborhood, would be 3 to 8 units per acre proposed. That would mean 102 to up to 272 lots could be proposed. Our subdivision that we are planning is only 91 lots. So we feel like there's a sense of community that could be there. We are able to preserve the character of the land and have larger lots on the outside. That would allow us to put some beautification along the Winterville Parkway, so with trees, landscape buffers, also along Reedy Branch Road, not only to provide privacy for the residents inside of our neighborhood, but also those residents in Copper Creek and Magnolia and so on and so forth. Also, the lots to the south, I believe that would be, there would be a buffer there so that we don't want to interrupt anybody's way of life, and we want to do things that are right for the town of Winterville, and I truly and sincerely mean that. I was able to have a conversation with Councilwoman Robertson And she voiced her concerns about, what happens if one builder comes in at the beginning and the quality of the product deteriorates because maybe it's sold off to another. That's why I wanted to put in the condition of hardy plank, stone, brick. That way, it's a better-looking product regardless of who builds it. And there is zero intention of having somebody else come in and build. I just want to go ahead and put that on the record. And also, Mr. Moy, in regards to the double-sided sidewalks, if that's a condition that, that we need to be met, that we need to meet, that's perfectly fine. We want to make sure that we do right by y'all. And we're not here to do a one-off job. We want to be here and be a partner throughout.
You got 10 seconds,
So,
Mike.
thank you very much. I'm about done, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this subdivision? Anyone else? State your name, please. You got
My
3
name is-
minutes.
Excuse me. My name is Ryan McGlowhorn. I live at 5093 Reedy Branch Road in Winterville, of course. I am one of the owners of the property that you guys are be evaluating tonight. I have a brother who was 86 years old who lives in Virginia. I have an ex-sister-in-law who lives in Elm City, and we all three share this property that was we inherited. I just want to say I'll be very short tonight. I love Winterville. I've been here my whole life. I live right there where you saw that little corner is my house, and next door is the farmhouse that my grandfather built in 1875 down that area. So we've been there a long time. And my dad was on the zoning committee in Winterville for many, many years as well. So I have a vested interest in this project. I'm going to look out my back door and see everything that's going on. My son's going to live right next to it, so it's going to be around us. As we stated, just to give you a little bit about what happened last time, our family, it was a tough decision. This farm's been in our family a long time. It was a hard decision for us to sell it because of financial reasons and my family getting older. We decided to put it on the market. Well, we didn't know much, and so the people that we had that were representing us said, let's go with this R6. We didn't know what all that was. And so when it came before planning and before council, that gave us more information about what the town wanted, what we needed. Of course, we didn't know. So now we do know, and I think we've been sitting down with the developer. Zach's done a great job in keeping the family very posted on what he wants to propose, because we made a decision that if this did not look right, we didn't want any parts of it. We didn't want anything, because like I said, I'm here to stay. I'll be 70 years old in February. Hope the Lord keeps me up here for a while, and I want to look out my back door and see something good. And I think this will develop. If you can look at the map, you'll already see where we've got areas around there where it needs some commercial stuff, I'd love to see another restaurant. I know y'all would too. I'm sorry if there's any restaurant people. But I'd like to see some things in Winterville develop. I know some of my neighbors have talked about traffic and all that, but in my business line, I'm retired now. I've traveled all over this country. I've seen little towns that dried up. There was nothing left. And Winterville, we're blessed that we've got a growing community here. And so I'm just trying to say that my family and I are all in favor of what you've seen tonight. If there's any recommendations we can do any better, we're all ears for it. But I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLaurin. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this? Anyone else? Well, that being said, I now will close the public hearing.
And Mayor and Council, sorry to interrupt. I'd like to, Keenan and I have talked about implementing just some proposed potential language when you're reviewing rezonings. You don't have to necessarily take this verbatim, but here goes a couple of options that you may take if you were approving or denying a rezoning in the future. And I'm going to start putting this slide up for rezonings. The approval rezoning essentially states that that you are making a motion to approve the R10 conditional district as it is consistent with the Winterville Comprehensive Plan, is reasonable, and is in the public interest. If you wish to deny this rezoning, it's a motion similar to a denial of the R10 conditional district after consideration of the comprehensive land use plan and other factors. this proposal is found to be unreasonable, and then you can give your reasons why. But this is a good way to kind of just state the motion, if that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, very briefly, the statute sort of pushes us in this direction. I think this is a really good idea. Steve and I have been talking about this for a little while, and would like to put this in front of you as a way to guide you in making your motion to approve or deny.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for everyone inside. So what is the desire of this board on this subdivision?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve to consistent with the Winterville Comprehensive Plan in a reasonable and public interest. I approve it. I would like to make a motion that we accept it.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Any discussion before take the vote? The motion was made by Councilman Moy, second by Councilwoman Dr. Harrell. With that being said, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Question?
Oh,
I call for the question.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. I apologize. Bring the mic down, that's why I didn't hear.
In approving that motion, are we approving it with the condition that they have offered with us? The condition that all external materials on constructed homes will consist of hardy plank, stone, or brick?
Yes, ma'am, you are. That condition that Stephen read about the exterior materials, that's the conditions being added to it.
And, okay, that's it. That's the only question I have.
Is there any other questions? Do y'all two you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you have a perspective scale or purchase scale for lease, those who would lease in the business, when you speak of urban neighborhoods, a perspective scale for lease and or for single-family homes for purchase and owners? And is that amount scale in alignment with those neighboring developments?
There is no intention to have it as a build for rent subdivision now. That's not to stop somebody from purchasing it and then renting it out. But now, again, that's up to the home builder. I'm not the home builder, I'm merely the developer. And the intention is to, obviously, the price of the homes will be reflective of the cost that goes into it. There's a high cost that's associated with the pump station that we will be providing to the town of Winterville that various adjacent properties will, I assume, will be able to tap in. Now, that's something that's up to Winterville Utilities. I know that the pump stations there are a little over capacity, but it is yours to do with it what you wish at that point.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's any other, there's a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, motion carry. Next up, we have the public comment section, and we do have one item, have one person that signed up. And before that person comes to speak, I've been tasked to read this. The public comment period of 30 minutes provide an opportunity for residents to comment on any item included in the agenda or to address the town council on any other matter related to the town council, to the town of Winterville for an item included in the public hearing section of the agenda. Residents should address the council at the time the mayor invites the public comment on the item. No public comment may be made to the council during the meeting except during the public comment period or as part of the public hearing. Individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Again, individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and no more than 3 speakers may address the council on a single matter. The town council may elect to take no action on the matter addressed by a speaker or may schedule the matter for further consideration at a further council meeting, or may refer the matter to the town staff for dispositions. Copies of the town public comment policy are available in the rear of the assembly room. We have Mr. Killian, if you could step to the podium. You have something?
Thank you. Good evening, council. Good evening. My name, is this on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It is.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you. My name is Doug Killian. I'm a resident of Beth Anna Court, which is about 4 blocks this way from here. My wife and I have lived here for 24 years. We enjoy living in Winterville. It's a very family-friendly town. It has excellent public services, safety, the fire, and the staff behind me are top-notch as far as I'm concerned. We're very blessed to live here. I do want to describe a problem that we're experiencing in our home on Beth Anna. In the month of December, we've seen 8 feral cats on our lot. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but it is when you're trying to sleep and they're waking you up in the middle of the night. In the past, we've gone to the police department years back, not recently, and they were able to trap them and take care of them however they did. So my wife, following that routine, in December went to the police department, and we were very nicely told they could not do a thing to help us. So, being the insistent husband, I said, I'll do a little more checking. And I went to the town clerk's office, the other end of the building. And after I paid my taxes, which I do in December, I says, where can I get some help to get rid of some feral cats? The lady says, we can't help you. We don't have any services that take care of that. She was very nice about it, but she says, I can't help you. So again, being a stubborn German that I am, I went and spoke with Stephen, who I work with on the planning and zoning. He says, Doug, I don't know what to tell you. We don't have any services that I know of, but I'll do some investigating. And he circulated an email and copied me, which I appreciated. But to date, I've heard nothing back. However, I would preface that Evan Johnston from the building department and I've communicated about an abandoned house on Cooper Street behind my home, which we think is the home of these feral cats. He said he would investigate it for code violations, which I appreciate. The cats killed birds, which we feed, so it's bad for us. They have defecated in my wife's herb garden. They're around the outside of the house, meowing in the middle of the night, waking us up, and they're basically an unsanitary pest. And as my understanding is, there's nothing that can be done about it. I don't know, maybe I'm getting miscommunications, but I would ask that this council consider what could be done. Also, we had the weekend of New Year's Eve.
Mr. Kill, your time, your 3 minutes is up. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. But me and Terry have discussed this, and she's looking into something with Pitt County. I think she can answer.
Yes, Mr. Killian, animal control for the town was never a full-time service. And it was and has been historically a service provided by the combination of the efforts of the police department and public works. It is a bigger job than we are prepared to handle. Our folks just aren't trained, and we just, with everything else that those two departments have before them, it's something that we've had to take back up and take another look at. The pens that we had for dogs had to be inspected every year by the state, et cetera. We're in the process of trying to meet with the county to see how we could transfer those services, and they would then operate the full-scale animal control services within the town. We don't have a report yet on that because we're still in the process of trying to set up a meeting, see exactly how that would take place. I can send you an email about some potential interim solutions that would involve your participation, but I'm happy to do that. And we'll do that if that's okay. And in the meantime, we'll keep council aware and the community aware of our progress with hopefully getting a more advanced trained service for the citizens, but it would not be provided by the town. That's a quick update.
Thank you, Ms. Killen. Next up, we have the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Dr. Harrell. Any discussion on the consent agenda? If none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carry. So what do we have here? Ames Plaza. Oh, I'm sorry, new business. Oh. Yeah.
See, we just
Blueberry.
sailed on through those.
Ooh, yeah, I'm sorry. Next up, Stephen is up with, in new
Evening
business.
again. So I am presenting a preliminary plat. It's a Blueberry subdivision. So in front of you is a newly revised plat. Mayor went back to his planning and zoning board days and found a missing sidewalk that I had overlooked. Incredible catch. Perfect time for it. The applicants, I reached out to them this weekend, or actually on Friday, about it, and they were very helpful in getting that addressed. So this map that you have in front of you, I have a highlighted section that shows a 5-foot sidewalk adjacent to Park Road. With that, Blueberry subdivision is located on the intersection of Church Street Extension and Park Road. This is between Church Street and Mill Street. It's a 32.51 acre site. It's proposing 69 lots. This is an R8 conditional district. It was approved back in December of 2020 with a minimum lot size of 10,000 square foot lots as a condition. Blueberry's preliminary plat was originally submitted in September 2021. The major difference that you're going to see on this plat than the 2021 plat is a gated entrance at Park Road. So the entrance at Park Road during the 2021 submission had a gate that was there for emergency vehicle access only. It would have had a lock box that had a code from our emergency providers. This 2023 preliminary plat removed the gate to allow 2 locations of ingress and egress, one from Church Street, one from Park Road. During the 2021 review, Planning and Zoning unanimously recommended approval of the plat. However, Town Council denied the plat for the following concerns. They wished that Park Road could potentially be paved, had some reservations about the lack of access with only one proposed entrance and exit into the neighborhood. We're worried about the safety with emergency vehicles and to allow the developers to investigate solutions and options, especially with NCDOT, prior to bringing the preliminary plat back to you for review. The applicant and staff have been in contact with NCDOT since Blueberry was initially denied. Town staff and some of you even on the board and other representatives have made it very clear to NCDOT that Park Road has a significant future importance. NCDOT does not currently have plans at the moment of paving Park Road and stated that Park Road became a state road in 1930, between 1930 and 1936, and it meets their standard for unpaved roads. With that said, the applicants have explored all options, both for themselves, with NCDOT, with the town. Keene, after review, found through review of North Carolina General State Statute, relevant North Carolina Court of Appeal cases, that the town of Winterville cannot consider or require the pavement of Park Road as a requirement to approve this development. So Park Road as a concern of this development is no longer relevant to what is within the proposed subdivision itself. Again, the significant change between the 2021 proposal and now was a gate at the entrance of Park Road. This was removed to allow 2 entrances, 2 exits into this subdivision, as is now required from our subdivision ordinance. This is an image of the preliminary plat showing 69 lots on the 32.51 acre site. This is an image of the preliminary plat as it lays on top of the site itself. It's a little bit washed out up there, but gives you a little bit of an idea how it would look once it's eventually developed. I do want to point out this is somewhat of a unique project in that it has some accessibility constraints that are significantly unique. The railroad is to the west of this property, and an environmentally protected stream is to the south of this property. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality asked that the town not require a stub out over the southern stream, and to avoid unnecessary environmental impacts, since Church Street is so close by and it would allow easy access to the property to the south. Continuing with the accessibility and stubbed streets design, and the reason why this subdivision is designed the way it is, connectivity to the west, as stated, isn't impacted or impeded by the railroad. Connectivity to the south is impeded by streams and environmental concerns, and you will see no stubs into these directions. This is an aerial of the property. The Neuse River riparian buffer and Blue Line Stream is on the southern portion of this site. CSX, railroad's right-of-way, is on the western part of this site. Park Road is on the northern area of this site. Church Street Extension is on the eastern boundary of this site. This is the northern image, Park Road. This is the western boundary, the railroad. This image is taken from Church Street Extension, is essentially the eastern boundary. Staff recommends approval of the proposed Blueberry preliminary plat as it meets all state laws, Town of Winterville subdivision ordinance and standards. Planning and Zoning Board reviewed this preliminary plat at their December 18th meeting and unanimously recommended approval of the Blueberry preliminary plat. If anybody has any questions for staff, we do have the applicant of Blueberry with us. If anybody has any questions for them as well.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Behind the church, and maybe they can answer it, but is it going to be, it's going to be a buffer back there, correct? It's going to be, what type of buffer is it?
So residential would not require a buffer against a church. residential, as single-family residential is the lowest land use intensity zone.
Okay.
It's actually land use intensity of 1.
Mm-hmm.
So since it's a lower intensity than the church itself, it
Okay.
would not require a buffer against the church.
Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to know that.
And I just want to, so I understand the reason in 2021 for the denial was that there was only one entrance. Since the gate has been removed on Park Street, and correct me if I'm incorrect on anything, so now there is a second entrance that goes onto Park Street. I realize that Park Street is unpaved, and we cannot require that as a stipulation to approve this. My concern would be, it is a DOT street. We know that oftentimes it's difficult to get the DOT to move, and the verbiage they've already provided us seems to be that that's the way they tend to go. What's going to happen in the future as this builds out, and these people over here along this unpaved dirt road I hesitate to think that at some point, those homeowners will come to us and want this road paved, and that's an expensive thing to do. And if we should do it for one subdivision, what stops us then from the next people coming and saying there's potholes in our street and subdivisions and things like that? So, I mean, that would be the only concern. And again, I understand it's a DOT road. If that's a potential down the road to be very costly and maybe make some people mad because as a town, we may not be able to or need to take up paving this to accommodate those residents when we can't do that in every subdivision. That's just a concern that I have for the future.
I think if I could, I would caution mayor and council and obviously anybody that'll be looking to buy a home in this, what I am sure will be a very nice subdivision, that as it stands right now, the town should not be involved in the cost of paving that road. We should continue to work to try to get DOT as the area develops and more homes are built for them to pave that road. So I think staff's stance would be, it is not our responsibility to pave that road. We should not have to put that money in and yet continue our efforts to get our representatives and folks with DOT on board to pave that road.
I look at this pretty much like we had on Boyd Street. We had a street that had been neglected. The only difference is that it was more populated than this road here, because this road here only had one house on it a long time ago. But I do have reservations because of that, and because the people buying the houses would expect that. So excuse me for butting in.
It's okay. So I do want to just, for clarity, this is a state road?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why DOT is saying that it's not their obligation to pave this road. Is that right?
It is a state road. It is NCDOT's road.
Okay.
I don't think they're stating that it's not their obligation. I think they're stating that it meets the, let me see exactly what
Their definition of a.
well, it meets the standard of when it was constructed.
Right.
So,
I think the idea is that it is going to vastly change the amount of traffic that will eventually travel that road. I think they are not going to be able to contend to use that as time moves forward.
And also to let y'all know that me and Anthony and Stephen, we sit on the Transportation Advisory, and we are bringing this forth to them. We have asked them about this several times, and they are saying to us, basically, this is way down the road. This is not even considered, okay? Because it's a dirt road, and, you know, they don't have money to do a dirt road, you know? And so, but we're gonna keep bringing it up, and we'll keep bringing it up, because I'm under the same impression as Terry. We shouldn't be responsible for a state-maintained road, which there's hardly no dirt roads in eastern North Carolina now. If you go towards north of the river, going in Alpine, the road is paved, and there's nobody hardly out there, you know, and that used to be dirt road. And I can't understand why we can't get a road in town paved. So I'm leaning on the public to even ask our representatives to get in touch with DOT and put pressure on DOT, because this is a state-maintained road in our town that should be paved. We shouldn't have a dirt road in 2024 in the town of Winterville. You represent these people, you should stand up for these people. We're standing up, we're fighting, us three, we fight for this.
It won't be the first time we've had a project that started out like this, but ended up in a way that we had hoped it would. And I think it just takes time and work and everybody pitching in to tap all the right resources.
And also, too, I'm gonna lean on Blueberry developers. Help us to get this thing paid. Help us with the representatives. Help us, put some pressure on them to get it paid.
I have a question when you finish. Do we have any projects that are on that list?
Talking about the MPO list?
That list that they have?
I
Yes,
think we do.
we
I'd
do.
have to lend to our staff
Anthony,
folks.
yeah.
Well, we have,
Stephen.
the most obvious one is the Old Tar widening.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an enormous project. It's, for our metro, but
Yeah.
especially for the town of Winterville. I will say the applicants have been working with NCDOT to try to see what could be done. So they have been reaching out to NCDOT and talking to them regarding this concern, for sure. What, do you know of any other projects that are?
We just have some small things that, not with major thoroughfares.
Right.
But we've had some studies, we've had some sidewalk issue items we've looked at. But as far as, and maybe some intersections, but again, much like this, the same type of feedback where it's long range, it doesn't meet the scoring mechanism, the scoring standard to get funded. And getting up that ladder to get funded is the problem that we run into. Bigger projects are kind of jumping in front of us with more urgency.
Extremely, the items for the TCC and TAC are extremely competitive, and it's not just for this local region, it's for, Eastern North Carolina as well as North Carolina as a total.
Stephen, what I have seen in the past is DOT will not respond until they do a traffic analysis. That means that they have to count the traffic goes through there. Once that traffic starts, going back and forth, then they was probably place it on their list then. I don't foresee it happening no time soon until that happens. And I do have a concern. About if that does happen, in order for it to be paved, for analysis be done, how much traffic would be done on that dirt road? That's my concern. But I see the need of what we're trying to do, and I understand what has been presented to us tonight. I was on the board at the time when we denied it, and that was one of my concerns.
Thank you.
That was a huge concern, because if you have any kind of emergency on that one entrance going into that development, prior to that gate, because back then we had the gate, we had to wait until emergency get there, unlock that gate. Now we are saying that the gate will be open at all times. It does not solve my problem completely, but it helps me out a little bit better than what it was before. I'm not saying that emergency won't respond quickly, Chief, but I'm just saying you could be on the other side of town when a situation comes, and you can have anything can hinder you from responding quicker if you were a little bit closer for them.
And I think for clarity, why I think the council turned it down, basically because we was talking about emergency vehicles, but it being a dirt road, and if we have any tremendous, this downpour, and that was the only way in, because these vehicles are so heavy. That was our response the first time. I don't think it so much was the gate. I was thinking we was looking at if we had emergency vehicles having to go down that dirt road to get into that entrance, if the other entrance was blocked, i.e. if it was blocked, and we had to utilize the dirt road by having such large vehicles, and you putting it on a dirt road, and it's going, and they trying to get there, maybe sliding off into a ditch or getting stuck on that dirt road. That was all concern. So I don't want everybody to think that we were just turning it down to be turning it down because of a dirt road. We was turning it down for lack of safety and getting our equipment to someone at that time, okay?
And also, these emergency access roads, we're really trying to get away from those as a point of ingress, egress. That is not what we want as the second
Right.
point of entrance and exit into a subdivision.
Mayor, if I could briefly, it was part of Stephen's presentation, and he mentioned it too, but I did want to address the issue of the paving of Park Road briefly. I did spend a considerable amount of time looking at that matter and research whether or not the town can require a subdivider to pave a road that is not within the subdivision that developer is building. And per general statute and per cases that address that general statute, I'm very confident in the fact that we cannot put that burden on the developer, as that the road is outside of the subdivision. Inside the subdivision, all things fair game. But, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any questions of me over that point. Thank you, Mayor.
I do want to also note that staff, it's not lost on staff that because this will be the first instance where we have development next to a dirt road, so to speak, that we will have issues with people driving down that road and then tracking mud into the subdivision, and then we're going to be responsible for cleaning the streets. And so there's going to be some challenges associated with this, as it's not one that at least since I've been here, that we've had to deal with before, but we're talking internally and trying to figure out how those will eventually be addressed.
And all of those things, as long as everybody is aware of those things, and we
Yes.
go in and we've
Yes.
discussed all those things, and I realize that it is outside of the subdivision and we can't require, but I just think that it needs to be stated and folks need to be aware, and perhaps the only way we ever get to having the DOT pave that road is to build out, and then the argument of emergency access and things like that. But in the meantime, there are probably going to be some aggravated people with dirty cars and dirty
Correct.
roads and dirty.
Correct.
I just want to make sure it's abundantly clear that that responsibility for that road is not going to fall back on the town.
Thank you.
That is true.
We do have the applicant here to speak on the matter as well.
Okay, all right.
Help us out.
Good evening, Mayor Hines, members of council. My name is Clint Cogburn. I'm a land use attorney with the law firm Warden Smith. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and developer, which is Garris Evans. We have our full team here. I know we've had several questions, so I do want to introduce them before we get started. Here tonight are the two principals of Garris Evans, Mr. David Evans and Mr. John Evans. We also have Linwood Stroud on behalf of Stroud Engineering, who is listed as the applicant because he is the engineer for the project. He is here to answer any questions you have about the layout, the subdivision design. Again, council's had some great questions, so we certainly want to make ourselves available. We also have here tonight Mr. Steve Epley on behalf of Davenport Traffic Engineering. We know that there's been questions obviously already about Park Road. There were questions about Park Road 2 years ago when this came before council. Although a full-fledged TIA is not required, given the estimated generated trips for this site, it's a relatively small site with 69 lots on that acreage. My client went ahead and had Davenport generate a smaller traffic analysis to address any concerns related to Park Road, and Steve can get into those. I'll keep my comments brief and then happy to answer any questions. I'll have Steve come up and provide some commentary again related to the traffic generation for the site. But as Stephen and Keene mentioned, and again, I want to applaud staff for their efforts here. We've enjoyed working with staff and obviously worked on Friday and over the weekend to address the sidewalk concern, which has been added to the plat before you, and appreciate Stephen bringing that to us and allowing us to address that in the last few days. But coming out of 2021, obviously there were concerns related to this site, this plat, specifically related to access. We went back to the drawing board and had extensive communication with NCDOT, with staff, and what we have before you, we believe addresses that, because it removes that emergency gate, it provides those two access points. It also is specifically designed, as you can see in the plat, to push most of the ingress and egress to the Church Street location. We believe that that will be the predominant access point. And as you can see, there's no driveways onto Park Road. There's just that access point into the subdivision, and that is on purpose. Again, it's to allow Park Road to be a full ingress-egress point for emergency services and for people coming to the site. But again, my client has specifically designed the site to have Church Street be the predominant access point for this subdivision. As Stephen mentioned, again, there's been extensive correspondence with NCDOT. We've exchanged a number of emails and calls with Robbie Taylor, who's the division engineer for this area. In talking to them, based upon what we are proposing from a density standpoint and from estimated trips, NCDOT, based upon this subdivision, at this point, did not see the need to say paving had to occur at the site. Again, my client would not object to NCDOT coming down the line and certainly paving that road. But we wanted to do our full due diligence, which is why we also engaged Davenport to address any concerns that generated trips there may cause some degradation to Park Road or harm to Park Road, which, based upon our analysis, simply will not happen. Again, the estimated trips are not substantial on Park Road, and Mr. Epley will get into that. We've had extensive back and forth with Stephen and Keene, again, to address those concerns. We went through multiple rounds of TRC and addressed comments related to phase development. It's only going to be built in one phase now. We also put in a mail kiosk based upon those comments. So we have really worked hard to collaborate with staff and the town and NCDOT on this to ensure that this is a safe project, this is a beneficial project. Our analysis on the Park Road usage also incorporates a hypothetical development on the other side as well, just to be thorough. And so that's why we've come back before you, because we do believe that this is a good project that will be beneficial. And again, to the extent that this helps generate or move NCDOT to pave that road, certainly my client would not be opposed to that. But we just, again, wanted to be fully transparent on all the work that we have done to date. And again, we would certainly ask that you support this. I'll let Steve come up and speak very briefly to traffic, and then our entire team is available for any questions that council may have.
I'm Steve Epley. I'm with Davenport. We've done a traffic analysis, basically looking at Park Road to the development of Blueberry subdivision, and we also looked to the one to the north of WHL development. Going through there, we looked at Park Road. The ADT on there is approximately 30 cars a day. Old NC 11 is 4,400. And then Church Street is right at 200 cars a day. We've done a traffic count at the Brookstone residential development to determine the distribution. Looking at those, and it's basically, I'll tell you right, 84% to the north, 16% going to the south in the AM, 90% going to the north, and 10% in the PM. Looking at those distributions, going through it, we looked at Park Road, whoops, back up just a little bit, getting ahead of myself. We do use the Institute of Transportation Engineers, their trip generation manual. In short, it covers a lot of studies for similar developments. In this case, we used a single-family detached housing for Blueberry with 69 units. It generates a total of 717 trips in a day, 53 trips in the morning and afternoon, and then 70 in the PM. That's entering and exiting. And then we looked at 44 units for the WHL development. That one in itself has 474 units, or not units, vehicle trips per day, 35 in the morning and 46 in the afternoon. And we looked at combining those. Both developments have 1,191 total vehicles per day, 88 in the morning and 116 in the afternoon. We looked at in correspondence to the Park Road, and with that, it fell well below the threshold for DOT to require improvements to the developer. That's in short. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. All right.
Thank you. So we're just here to, and respectfully ask that this be approved. Again, we're happy to answer any questions, but we, again, appreciate the opportunity to come back before council 2 years later with what we believe is an improved subdivision and improved plan. And again, we would hope that council would support us in approving this plat.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for the attorney or anyone with Blueberry now? Anybody have any questions? Got any questions down this hand?
I do have a question. The gentleman who was just referencing his observations of traffic going in and going out, was the properties or the subdivisions that you were observing equivalent to the one that we are speaking of in the Blueberry plat in terms of the road, in terms of a dirt road? Did they have something equivalent to that? Because that's apples to oranges, although you were observing the heavy traffic areas when we talk about dirt roads. Was that equivalent?
The counts were done to determine distribution. That was a residential neighborhood. These are residential neighborhoods. So where's traffic going to go? Where's it going to come from? That's the reason we've done that. It's comparable. But it wouldn't matter if it was a dirt road or paved road.
Thank you.
We're trying to find distribution to and from.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Oh, yes, same one. I'm sorry. My question would be would that help if you did have, if we did have Park Road available? It would help ease the traffic off of Church Street. And also, it would give the residents in that area a quicker way to access to Highway 11, going back and forth, a lot easier. It's just a question, and I think that would help eliminate that traffic jam once everything is developed out in the future, near future.
In our analysis, we did look at that. We did assign some trips to Park Avenue. And if we put all the traffic that these both developments would come into, it would not generate enough for DOT to require improvement. So that would be paved, unpaved. It's just a road to DOT. And then for this week.
Are we close? Will we be close?
I don't think we're close.
Won't be close at all.
Not to require improvements
No, I
from
don't
DOT
think we're
to the
close.
developer.
Okay.
Now, as far as it being improved, more traffic bumps it up the scale. So in the future, they might be able to do something.
Place it on the map. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions or comments? If not, What is the pleasure of this board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion to approve by Councilman Moore. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. I have a motion to approve by Councilman Moore, second by Councilwoman Smith. Any questions before we take a vote? With none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried for the Blueberry preliminary plat. Next up, we have Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening. Next up, we have Anthony here with a change order from Tripp Brothers.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we have before you a change order for Tripp Brothers LLC to replace a water line on Railroad Street. The water line is located in between Blunt Street and Cooper Street, basically from behind the Dixie Queen down to the multifamily apartments on the south end. During our current street resurfacing project, we opened the road up, and as Cliff and I were talking earlier today, anytime you open a road up, it creates opportunities. So one of the opportunities here is for us to replace a 6-inch water line that's really shallow in the ground, and it's made of a material that's no longer used for water distribution. And that 6-inch line is subject to being damaged during the street resurfacing project itself. So what we're asking for you tonight is to allow a change order for $52,082.80, which will, it's a per unit price to rip out, replace that line, cap off the old line, and then tap new services. We'll connect. There's only 3 services that will be affected on this line, and so in essence of time to trying to get this project continue to move expediently, we're asking the council tonight to approve this change order.
Okay, can I get a motion on this?
So
I
moved.
move that we approve the change order to
Okay.
replace the water line.
All right.
Now second.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Any discussion before we take a vote? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Next up is the appointment to the MPO Transportation Advisory Committee alternate. Right now, I sit up there, Anthony and Stephen, and Tony was our alternate to me, and so now we're looking to alternate to me, correct? If I'm correct?
So we're replacing Councilman
Moore.
with a new alternate.
With a new alternate. I'll call you a car. I'm sorry. I have anyone interested? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
So just to make sure some of the new council members, this is the MPO organization which we were just referring to on the scoring and grading of projects within the area. This municipalities included in that are Greenville, Ayden, Winterville, Simpson, and Grimesland.
The Village of Simpson, yeah.
Simpson.
Village of Simpson.
And
All right.
so we all get together on a quarterly basis and discuss
Every 3
the
months.
projects in the area
All right.
and communicate with NCDOT
3 months.
about
And the time is around 1:30 that we meet. Usually go about 1:30 to probably about 2:30 at the most, depending on the severity of some of the stuff that we got to go over. So, but that's pretty much where we're at. Yes, sir.
What, nomination?
No, just,
I would like to nominate
nominate you.
I nominate myself.
Everybody, I'll nominate you then. I nominate Councilman Johnny Moore
Okay.
for the MPO alternate.
Alternate, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I got time.
All right. Had a nomination made by Councilman Moy, second by Councilwoman Robinson, correct?
That's all right.
That
It's
would
fine
be,
either
that'd be all right? Okay. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Johnny, you're the alternate,
Yes.
and we will get you that,
There'll be some documentation.
yeah, you got some documentation and some ethics and all that other stuff.
Yes,
You
which
got
is
to-
different. It's a different
Right.
ethics statement than what you all as a full
Council
council
do, right.
address, so
Okay.
we'll get y'all what you need.
Right.
Y'all get me straight.
We'll get you.
We'll get you straight. All
Hey,
right.
just like Allstate, I'm in good hands.
That's
All
right,
right.
that's right.
All right, next up is other agenda items. First one we have here is, will be coming from Councilwoman Hawkins, and she's put up here, and you can explain it, Councilwoman. You're on deck.
Yes, good evening. I have a few packets that I will pass down to the council. I will get any additional packets for the town manager as well as the town attorney, but I wanted the town council to see each item that I brought forth. I want to state that the majority of the business here tonight encompassed responses to the growth of Winterville, and which is rapidly growing. And I think at this point, we are considered a small city. And we are, those who were speaking on behalf of bringing in new residents to Winterville to enjoy the slice of a good life. I'm here to speak, and my first item is speaking on behalf of the current residents of Winterville, as well as the other items.
Okay, let's, the first one basically is, you talking to us now about this form?
Correct.
Then we'll go
Yep.
each, okay?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so that the audience will know if they're looking at the agenda. I just
Yes,
want to
sir.
clarify that, okay?
Yes, sir.
All
The
right.
first item, the first item on other items of the agenda is town forum with law enforcement and other service personnel. Okay, first I want to preface by saying that I have more than high regards for our law enforcement as well as other personnels. Back in 2020, I made a request, June 2020, for a town forum. That was right around the time of George Floyd. I believe it was agreed upon, and we can refer back to the notes, back in June 2020, and again during a July 2020 town council meeting. Someone can reference it. It was put on hold because it was tabled due to lack of setting or space due to COVID. I know that Winterville is one of the safest towns, about 65% more safer than other towns in North Carolina. It is also known for having high levels of traffic citations and interactions. I would like, with this town forum, to promote and encourage an increase in community policing, which is intertwined with community interaction beyond the back-to-school event, beyond Shop with a Cop during Christmas, and beyond traffic infractions. I would like to know, how do we come up with a good medium? And that was a town forum. The goal for the town forum there's pros and cons. The pros would be increased knowledge of the importance of community policing. Pros would be transparency of the backgrounds of those who protect us, serve us, provide emergency services to us, as well as the pros would be patrol information and transparency about tickets, traffic tickets. And the ultimate goal is to build knowledge, build connections, build value and trust, and build community conversations with our cops, or with our law enforcement and our other service personnel. There was no setting at that time. I am poised to contact some people that I have great contact with at Pitt Community College. I also know that our law enforcement here has implemented police educating the public, which has not had a history of being successful. Also, perhaps the name could be maybe changed, police engaging with people, as opposed to educating the public, or law enforcement engaging with neighbors. However that looks, I would like to propose some level of conversation with those who serve and protect us and provide emergency services. Again, like I said, this town is growing by leaps and bounds. I have been a resident and homeowner here. I've been a homeowner for close to 15 years and a resident over 20 years. And I've raised my children here. My whole family lives here. And this is something that I would like to see done at some level. So I'm proposing this or making a motion. I'm new to the council. For a town forum. I think a conversation will help us be better together.
Okay.
That's my first item.
All right, let me kind of help address this first item. And the first item, what I see is if you could maybe meet with me, Terry, and King, if we could set up something, the three of us, four of us, would it be fine? King, would that be fine with you to address this? And
Like me to be there, I'll be there.
I would like for you to be there because of some of the stuff that you're asking. I want to make sure that we can do what you're asking, you know, and then we can address it, okay? But we will address it and come back with an answer to the board. But I would like for us to get together, and we'll look at a calendar and get it within the next 2 months. Okay?
I'll be glad to spearhead the setting up of the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
And-
I have a question of clarification.
Yes.
So we're going to pause. We'll have a meeting to bring forth more clarification, to have a meeting or to have a town forum, or we're pausing that, or what?
Well, my thing is, let's make sure that, is it a town forum that do we need, or is it something else? Because we need to address some of the things that you're asking. Maybe some of these things can be addressed besides in having a town forum. Something that you can take back to the people that are asking you about these things. So that if you can sit down and get some clarification from us.
I would love to have a separate meeting and to expound on what I am speaking about. But what I would say is, I don't see why we here in the town cannot have a town forum, which is simply a conversation. But in respect of your request, Mayor, I would adhere to that.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could, I'm hearing people who provide services.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that would be, you know, I know it's everybody over there.
Correct.
All of you provide services to our citizens. But I'm thinking that you're mainly looking at police and fire, right?
I'm looking at,
Okay, go on.
I'm sorry. I'm referring to law enforcement, I'm referring to fire department, and I'm referring to EMS. That's mainly-
Emergency services.
Yeah,
So that's
yes, emergency
public
services.
safety. It
Yes.
might be a good idea when you do meet to include them, because that was what I was hearing.
Yes, that is what I'm referring to, who are providing service to us, law enforcement. And it did, Mayor, span out of the George George Floyd back in 2020, and it was spoken about with that to actually bridge any kind of fractures. But it has extended beyond, and I think it would do nothing but make us better together. And that is still my request. And just clarification, we'll do this bring this back before the council within 2 months? Did I?
I think we can get it done, if everybody's schedule meets, I think we can have it done, yeah. I don't foresee, I think we can get it done. We can get it done.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Now, who would well, that was something you all would work out, I'm sorry. I won't ask that.
Well, I do.
A moderator, that was
I
my
do
thing.
think there's some parameters that, we need to discuss and put in place, so.
Right.
So you're saying that it'd be the best to have a closed meeting like that instead of just discussing this on our meeting that we plan on having on the 20th?
Well, the 20th is orientation, so
Right.
that's really not where we would discuss these things.
So we don't need to add that.
I don't think the 20th is the meeting. It would tentatively could be your vision setting meeting, but
Just ask a question.
it would be better for your vision setting meeting.
Okay.
If you're going to put it on one of those meetings. I
That's
think
what I'm trying to get
orientation,
at.
yeah, I think orientation, we'd like to stick with orientation type items.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, if we could meet to kind of see where we're going, and then if the form is where we need to set it in our vision setting meeting.
Sounds like a plan, thank you.
Okay, all right. Then next thing you have is town-based transportation. I think, did I read it right? Town-based
Correct.
transportation?
Yes, Mayor. So the next item is town-based transportation. The latest statistics, or as of July 2020, the total population here in Winterville is 10,742. It may have grown, since then. Okay. Within that population, the residents or citizens that are under 16, over 65, or who just does not drive totals about 2,500 within the town of Winterville. How do they get around? There are many that walk, and from what I see and have observed, it is not safe. There are various places that those who do not drive go to, such as the grocery store, Food Lion, post office, the town hall to pay their bills, as well as the local library. Those are the integral points right here in Winterville. What do we do as a town to ensure that those who do not drive can get to those safe points? I know that we had a presentation about safe streets presented in December, and that encompassed crosswalks and signs that could be efficient and visible. But when I look at residents walking up and down Mill Street, walking up and down Old 11, going across to the gas stations, it makes me frightened. I believe we need to put something in action. One of the things that I am proposing is that we possibly contract a transportation service that would ensure that our residents can get a safer method of getting around to those integral points within the community. It would also bring in some additional revenue. Another area that I am proposing, or another possible solution, is to possibly work with the Great Bus Company that does go to Pitt Community College and see if they can extend the routes. That is my item for town-based transportation.
All right, on that town-based transportation, the citizens can utilize PATS through the county. They can utilize that as far as transportation, modes of transportation. They can call PATS Pats can set them up and pick them up and shuttle them to appointments, okay?
You-
I'm just letting,
Can I, when,
yeah,
can- so, yes, I'm aware of PATS.
okay,
And I know that they take people to medical appointments to take care of their business, if they are disabled or if they are not capable of driving. I'm speaking of town-based transportation, not medical appointments outside of Winterville. This is what I'm speaking of. This is what I have heard from our residents who live here now and what they need. And as a council, I am asking the council, what do they think would be the best solution outside of PATS? Because you have to make an appointment to go to the doctor. They cannot make an appointment for them to take them to Food Lion, to pay their bills, to go to the post office, or to the library. So this is something that I'm bringing forth, and I hope that the council is welcoming to a conversation about town-based transportation.
I did look into Great Bus at one time. That was before they were going to the senior center. And they gave me this real high figure as to what it would cost for them to extend their route. They just have one point in Winterville. I don't, now, because they are going out to the senior center, they could take another route, you know, you don't have a stop in Winterville and take another route. So that could be something that could be a possibility for us.
If I could follow up on that, staff has had a discussion with the city since they started going out to the Alice Keene Center. And we talked to them, I don't remember how long ago it's been. I'm looking at my cohorts over there. Time gets away from me. But the figure to,
because you talked to me about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the figure was
Yeah.
astronomical.
Yes.
And it is not something that we could afford to do. And of course, most of that transportation is going to be outside Winterville. I'm hearing you talk about a lot of transportation within Winterville. So since that's a City of Greenville service, I don't think that's going to work for transportation within Winterville. But staff has pursued that in an effort to try to see if it was an option. It was monetarily not one then, and I sincerely doubt it's one now.
I know PATS now is providing transportation for students to Pitt.
Right.
They're doing that.
Okay.
You know,
And that
it
is
gets you to
something
Pitt
fairly
Community College.
new.
It's new. It's new. They just started doing it. But if we could get PATS to just pick up people and take them to Pitt, it would tie them into
To the bus,
the Great
yeah,
Bus.
That's right.
If we could get that link done, to get you from Winterville to that. But of course, like you said, that would be for places in Greenville. It wouldn't be for Food Line, wouldn't be to the post office. Because at one point, the people in the project behind the school, they had to hire someone to take them to the post office. And because they did not have like a central post office thing there. And I wrote a letter to Mideast about it. And they did put a box there so that they didn't have to hire someone to carry them to the post office. And that's just like needing to go to Food Line, needing to go to Walgreens, drugstore, CVS, or any of the things, or the library. It's the same thing. They have that same challenge. So it is a challenge for our citizens.
I do have a comment or a question. So when we're thinking about these things that are within our town, and I heard you say, Councilwoman Hawkins, that it will create revenue. So sometimes I think about it, or maybe we should think about it, the folks that are in these situations, will they, be able to pay? So that brings me to the question of, are we or can we, Town Manager Parker, if we could look into grants that are available for our town to contract with local residents, because I believe that in rural Eastern North Carolina, we're people rich, right? So some people have their own transportation companies and they're looking for work. And if the Great Bus was astronomical. Is there a line item where we can contract with someone that's local, that has their, local transportation service, and utilize those folks that are within our town or within our area to take folks, to the different locations within our town?
I certainly think it's something we can look into. Again, any grant-related funding is excellent to get us started. We would need to
Yes.
look into, obviously, maintaining that past the grant period. And I certainly don't think it would bring in some revenue, but the cost associated with it, I don't think we
Right.
probably should look at it as a moneymaker. We should
Exactly.
just look at it as a maintenance and service.
A need. Right.
But I certainly think if council's amenable to discussing it at our vision setting, we can get a better definitive direction from council on how you'd like us to proceed in looking into this.
I would love to, and I thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Harrell, Dr. Harrell, for bringing that forth. That sounds like a wonderful conduit, a wonderful avenue to try to explore, and I think it would be, it would cost us less monetarily as well as emotionally to prevent anything from happening with these residents walking up and down the streets. I would like to prevent that. Thank you.
Okay. Next is item number 3. You have, as you said, all-call alert system.
Yes, Mayor. I requested that this item be put on the agenda for all-call alert system. In a growing community such as Winterville, and in the 21st century, I think that it is time that there is a emergency, that there is some sort of alerts that will inform residents of emergencies and town-encompassed events. An all-call alert system could be utilized with a cell phone, but for those who do not have it, perhaps a digital board and/or phone calls. There needs to be multiple ways in terms of having an all-call alert system. I myself have a Ring, and if anybody here lives in Winterville, they'll know that you have a neighborhood alert system, and we know just about anything that is going on within Winterville as well as Pitt County. I think we can spearhead an all-call alert system here in Winterville and serve as a example to various towns in Pitt County. So that is what I would like us to talk about and/or see if we can move on.
If I could, that's already underway. We already have a company identified. I don't know that it'll be an all-call because the predominant part of that will be voluntarily signing up. And we're still working out the details of, with our new ERP system that we've transitioned to, how we'll go about getting that reset up, but that's already underway.
Town Manager Parker, can you explain a bit further? When you say it's underway, it will be sort of an alert system based upon residents signing up for it, and by what method? Would they get the alert via phone, via
There'll be some choices. They could get a text, they could get a phone call. And again, as it's getting solidified and we're completed with the setup, then I imagine someone will be doing it, probably me, be doing the presentation on what's all entailed.
And lastly,
I'm sorry, can I speak to that? As you said, in the 21st century and with app stores, I'm not sure if we have or we're able to, for the town of Winterville, have an app for our town. So
That's also underway.
Okay, perfect. So that may, Councilwoman Hawkins, that may resolve your request if Winterville has an app and then our residents sign up for it. And I understand that everyone, doesn't really have those capabilities, but most people do have cell phones or things of that nature. So maybe we can, since you said it's underway,
Two different companies, but yes.
Town Manager Parker, so we can update that and have an app for Winterville.
That'll also give an option for people to submit if they see a pothole or concerns, things of that nature, so.
Awesome.
I think that would be amazing. And then just to extend, I know sometimes when there are sports events coming up throughout the summer, events, there's notification via, I cannot choose the words right now, but there is a sign that is with strings on the end that is kind of put up in
Banner.
various.
Banner.
A banner, yes. Yes. So there is a banner, and it typically is written on, and it's alerting us of an upcoming event. In education in various schools throughout Pitt County, there are digital boards or digital banners that we have placed in front of the schools, and it allows parents as well as passersby to see what is going on. What is Winterville's position on maybe a digital banner? Would that be very costly? And this can serve as a additional support should cell phone service not be available, or one cannot get that. I just wanted to bring that forward while this item was being discussed.
Be glad to look into that.
Okay. Next up, you have is equitable housing. That was a mouthful.
Say
for me.
that 5 times real fast.
Equitable wobble.
Yes, Mayor. Again, as I initially spoke to Winterville's growth, and as you can see, many times there are developers wanting to build here in Winterville to bring in more residents, to bring in people to enjoy Winterville, the town we all live in. I'm speaking to equitable housing, and just to say what housing are being proposed that reflect the various incomes within Winterville's. How can we attract more developers to build homes, maybe multifamily apartments that are income-based driven? If we could speak to that, so any prospective residents and/or their families who already live in Winterville can, if they're listening via YouTube, can hear us and/or just speak to that as a town council. Thank you.
I think there's a meeting coming up on the 13th, and it's going to be at Emmanuel Church I think it's on Spatesy Farm Road.
Yes.
At 10 o'clock. I think that will be a good place for you to go, because they're going to be talking about what you're asking about here, the housing part of it. I think they're having, it's a breakout session, I think. They got some realtors. I think they may have a builder or someone else.
Quite a few people.
Quite a few people. And I think that'd be a good place to go. And that, if you could get some of the answers that you are seeking there and bring them back to us so we can hear what was proposed there that we can look at maybe as a town,
Mayor, do you have the name of that event, or I just contact the
As a
church?
matter of fact, check with Mary with NAACP.
Will do.
She sent it out in a publication. I think that's where I got it from anyway. So if
Okay.
you would check with her, I think she can give you that information. But I think that'll be a good source for you to start with, and then you can glean some of that information and bring it back to us as a council, and we can
Yes.
look at it, okay?
Thank you, will do. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Mr. Moy.
Yes, it was discussed back in 2023, a better view of the Fire Tower Cemetery when you're traveling back and forth from east to west on Fire Tower Road. And the view of the cemetery sign is low. I mean, it's very attractive, you can be able to see it, but it's sort of like a little bit too low to the traffic.
The dead eye?
Yes, you can't see it. I think we had proposed to do some facelift type setting to it, and we had, I just wanted to know what's the update on it at this time.
Well, you will, I do not have a specific update at this time, except to say that it is on our project list. And as soon as, now that we are ecstatic Don is back, he is going to remind me where we left off in a previous meeting and on this project. And I will be back in touch with council on where we are and where we need to go.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
May I ask one question? Councilman Moy's question about the cemetery sparked it. I know that we have secured the land to expand the other cemetery. Where's that at?
We are, again, currently working on cutting in roads, getting those prepared. The plots have been basically outlined, and not on the ground, but we know exactly, or pretty close to that, how that's going to be laid out. So as soon as we can get that work finished, then we will be back with council letting you all know that we're getting very close to being ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Items for future agenda and future work sessions.
As a reminder to council, we have set the recycling solid waste workshop for February 22nd, and I believe that starts at 5:30. That's a critically important situation that's looming, so we need to have some pretty detailed conversation about that. I do know that that needs to be addressed. So,
5:36.
5:30.
Okay.
Again, that's on February 22nd. I sent out calendar invites today.
Yeah, we got to, everybody, all right. Everyone receiving their emails, and for the new, Lisa and Ms. Hawkins, are y'all receiving your emails and everything?
I'm good now.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, since y'all are new, making sure that you're receiving your emails.
I'm being kept in the loop.
Okay, and calendars, events and all that, okay, all right. Anybody else? Okay, all right, next up, from our department heads. And we're gonna start with, Stephen, and go right down the line.
Good evening again. I'll be fairly brief. The last quarter is always slower. It's the colder months. We had 11 new homes, and that combined with the rest of the year was 83 homes on the year. Pretty good year. 207 zoning compliances. Another really good year. Generally, what we see. One project worth noting is we received a preliminary plat for Southbrook. We also called that the UNC property often. It's a PUD off of Church Street and Lori Ellis Road, so pretty soon council will be seeing the preliminary plat for that. We're still doing a technical review committee for that project, but pretty exciting, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Evan?
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Inspection's still running strong, got a lot of projects, commercial and residential going on. Everything seems to be going pretty smoothly as far as building goes, no significant hurdles, issues, things like that. A lot of the code enforcement that we typically do, i.e. grass and things like that, of course, is slower for us this time of year, thankfully, but we do have some other items on the code enforcement list such as the item that Mr. Killian addressed and some others on there as well. Outside of that, I stand by for any questions.
Abandoned homes.
Yep.
Are we still checking those?
Yes, ma'am, I've got a few on the list right now.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anthony.
Mayor, council. Just a few brief updates. Currently, got a notification from NCDEQ over the past week. Very long and cumbersome process to get our sewer pump station project off the ground. As you may recall, this is major improvements to Chapman Street Pump Station as well as our Church Street Pump Stations, which are the two pump stations that basically handle all the sewer for the town of Winterville. So there's a major project there going on. Hope to have that final review here shortly, and then the next step of the process will be going out for bid. So as soon as we get final approval, we do have some mitigation fees that we have to pay, which is pretty standard anytime you operate within a riparian buffer, which this project is. A lot of times in sewer, it has to flow to the lowest point at some point, which is typically near a creek, which gets you into your riparian buffer area. So that project is moving along. The next item is our stormwater AIA study. That's the one where we're inventorying all the stormwater features in the town, and we're basically taking an inventory of what attributes each item has, so where the storm drain, how big it is, and how many we have. That project's about 20% complete, and it'll be moving forward. I think you've probably already seen guys in town walking around with flags on, just measuring and analyzing and looking at storm water features within the city limits. Had a meeting today on our brick application. This is like second year going into this application. It's about a $4 million grant. This is also the one you're all aware of with opportunity to use grant funding for. We passed a memorandum of agreement tonight, which will allow us to contact the league, which will allow us to then get grant funding to pay for some of the services to apply for this other grant. So that's a mouthful, but that's the process that we're going through to try to get this and save the taxpayers' money in the process as well. So we'll be moving forward. The deadline for that is February 5th. So there's going to be a lot of action going on between now and then to get that grant ready to go. Obviously, we've had the street resurfacing project going on. Not going quite as fast as we'd like, but staff stayed on top of it, and they can speak to that a little bit more. But they are moving, making good progress, and like I said, anytime you open up a road, there's opportunities there, and there's going to be setbacks. So we've worked through those quite well. Several utility easements. I think King's probably tired of seeing me, but working on these projects, there's a ton of easements to go along with that. So working on those, and then our GRIP application for our AMI meters in our electric department. We applied for this grant last year through Electricities. It's $1.3 million to convert our electric meter reading system. But last year that grant was not accepted by the federal government. And so Electricities reached back out, asked if we would like to reapply, and of course we said we would be interested in that. So that process is moving forward as well. And I stand by for any questions.
I sat in on the call with Anthony today on that brick, so he's going to be utilizing a lot more people. So he actually just need to help step up on that because it's a lot. That was a lot of information, and it's going to need all hands on deck on this
Right.
to get this done. We did get some real good feedback. Anthony, you did a good job. I mean, regardless, but, with all that information that was needed.
Well, hopefully we can, with this expertise we're getting a little bit back up this time, we can maybe make it a little bit further. And they did say that, it's pretty common for people to get it their second or third year. Last year was our first year applying. So take the feedback and you expound on it and you get better. And, hopefully by the second or third year, we'll
I think we understand the scoring mechanism now than when you first went into it, from what he was telling us today. And you went to that, you wasn't far off from a lot of the scoring, but, you know,
Well,
I think we.
sometimes that's most of the battle
Right.
is, you know, getting through it and kind of seeing what
Right.
is all
For everybody,
entails.
so we did make it through the state first round last year. We got to the federal round, and that's where it got kicked back. And so this year, made it through the state round again, but now we've got some feedback from the first round that we can apply to and try to make the application a lot better. So we're excited, we're hopeful, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cliff?
I had a question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
All right.
Well, first I have a comment. I would like to thank you for your excellence and your professionalism. And every time you speak, you try to be clear and clarify things and make sure everyone is understanding of the various projects that you are undertaking. So I have a question. We are preparing, Pitt County Schools is preparing for storms. So students will be getting out early tomorrow. My question is, in terms of stormwater, what are we doing to be proactive in helping to alleviate any prospective or potential flooding that may occur? And I know, thinking of the future, the all-call alert system will be helpful in that, but what are you proposing? Like, what are you doing to be proactive?
Sure. So one thing, the AIA study is probably the foundation. Once we get that, that's assessing. So there's, I guess, obviously different needs. So there might be an urgent need on the communication aspect, but then there's an infrastructure need. And we mostly are going to focus, probably from the public works side, is on the infrastructure need. That AIA study, we received a grant for $400,000 for that study. And so when we get that study complete, we'll have what's called a capital improvements program. And so it'll give us a 10-year plan on how to make these improvements to the town. And the town historically has not had that tool.
Right.
So we're bringing this forward. This is something new. And so we're developing that tool right now. And once we have that, we'll be able to move forward. In the interim, this grant that I'm applying for is a $4 million grant. We also took the ARA money, ARP money that was received, and we rolled that into stormwater. And so there was $3.2 million that essentially was rolled into a capital projects fund for stormwater on Railroad Street and the Noble Canal. So we'll do bank stabilization on Noble Canal and then infrastructure on Railroad Street improvements. Most of that stuff was put back probably in the 60s or before. So what's there is either starting to fall apart or starting to fill in with dirt and sediment.
You can definitely see where it's falling apart.
Yeah, and you see the sinkholes along the railroad track. Of course, we all know the complications that come with the railroad track. So a lot of our areas that are dilapidated, need repair, are altogether complicated from the fact that CSX is all in CSX. A large part of it is in CSX right away, or the water travels through CSX area. So all those projects, that's kind of the plan. If we can get that on an immediate basis and try to move forward with that project. Again, that project does need funding. It is there. It's been engineered. But the problem is, having the resources to actually get the shovels in the dirt. And so we're working diligently to try to get that money. The second part is once we do have that CIP, we can start applying for more grants, because it's hard when people come say, what are your needs? What grants can we apply for? And we don't have the backbone. We don't have the infrastructure from a documentation standpoint to say, here's how the projects lay out. Here's our critical needs. Here's our less critical needs. Or this grant might say, well, it targets this. Well, okay, we have a project in year 5 that fits into that. That kind of thing, just matching up what our needs are with the funding availability. As far as communication on stormwater events, the school system does do a good job of getting kids out early. We certainly have areas that are low-lying. Our police department and fire department and public works department, everybody chips in and tries to get those signs up. High water areas, try to indicate, where problems are before we have stranded motorists. So there's a lot that goes on to it in a short period of time, and you never know. The good part about Mother Nature is you never know when it's going to happen. when you least expect it. But there are times like hurricanes and storms and tropical storms that we can try to prepare. And anytime we do or are aware that these storms are coming, obviously we're going to get to work and start getting things lined up and ready to go, have people on call, know who's going to be covering what, and get our ducks in a row.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Anthony, is there something that the community or the citizen of this town can be part of this preparation for the storm? You know, just make sure that your drainage is clear. I know that it's hard for us to go to every drainage in our town. I seen them trying hard to keep them clean out, but just as soon as they clean out, you know, don't take it but a little debris, it'll fill itself back up. But the citizen would, you know, we as homeowners, if you have one close to you, just rake it out. I mean, move it aside. It will help. I found that out for myself, that it will help.
That'll help, keeping
That's a great
grass
point.
clippings out of the street. All the things we ask citizens to do and put in the newsletter. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't read the newsletter.
Yes.
But there, you know, we try to communicate with the citizenry about these opportunities to, you know, why we have the rules, and the rules help with the stormwater and things of that nature. So, but yeah, anytime you see a stormwater that's clogged and drained, as long as it's not a heavy flow situation, or if it's pre-storm, I mean, we can send the street sweeper by, he can pick up all the leaves, and in the fall, 15 minutes, it's going to be back blocked again. So if these events happen in the fall, if they're willing to do it before any kind of danger poses from a weather feature, then, you know, feel free. But, you know, if it's a situation where we don't want people getting hurt too. So use common sense and get out there before the storm gets there if you see that crews have already been through and we still couldn't get to it. Or, you know, always call us. We'll be glad to, you know, if there's a situation where we can get out and get to it, you know, our staff is wonderful. And so, you know, they'll be glad to help in any way they can.
I do think expectations are important. So we just continue to reiterate, we do have work to do where stormwater is concerned, and we want to improve that to the, you know, in the best way possible. But these torrential downpours we have nowadays, where you get 6-7 inches of rain in a short period of time, nothing is going to prepare a stormwater system for those type of events. So
I will say within the next couple months, we'll be bringing forth to you a new ordinance on stormwater. That is to meet, you know, new stormwater standards and regulations that are, you know, being recommended by the federal government. So we'll be adopting those here in town with our new ordinance. It's already been written. It's in a review process, and then internally we're looking at how do we handle some of the attributes that go along with that ordinance, such as, you know, developer sureties to make sure that their infrastructure. So if they go in and build a new stormwater pond because they're building a 35 lot subdivision, we need to make sure that that stormwater pond is going to maintain and hold up and not, you know, fail, and then you have a serious issue on your hands and the residents. So, handling those sureties, handling the financial aspect on the back end that goes along to make sure that the good stuff goes along on the front end.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cliff,
Cliff
come on
looks-
down.
Cliff
Anthony
looks
covered about
studious.
everything. Public Works, we're doing day in, day out. We're keeping the street, you know, y'all saw them out today and all this week ahead of the storm coming tomorrow and last weekend, trying to do the best we can to keep the storm drains clean. To your point, Mr. Moy, if you see a neighbor blowing grass or leaves in the street, that happens. We'll send the street sweeper through. We ride the street the same day, and 4 or 5 residents have cut their grass or had somebody cut their grass, and they blow it in the road, and then we go try to get them to get it up, and it's a safety concern. They don't want to get in the street and work, which we understand. But to help us, if you see anybody blowing grass in the street, by all means, please mention they are not allowed to do that.
Plus, it's illegal.
Exactly. So, just wanted to touch on that while we were going. We've touched on the recycling issues. That's an ongoing issue with us for what residents are putting in their recycling bins. We'll discuss that in the workshop. Anthony touched on the street resurfacing, the issues we're running in with pipe replacement. Just in Depot today, as we uncovered it, the existing water line is lead joint pipe, so it will have to be replaced due to measures states putting in place for lead and copper rules. So we will have to replace that line too. Anthony will be coming back to you with that. Todd and his crews have been working on stormwater, sinkhole repairs all throughout town. They did 6 last week. They've done 2 already this week. They stabilized the bank by Free Hope Church last Friday. Denali has ongoing issues with their sewer system. We're constantly out there working on that system because, you know, ultimately that neighborhood, I've told y'all, has 70 pump stations because every individual house has a pump station, and it's treated just like any of the 28 existing in our system. So that's a big undertaking we do. Villa Grande Phase 3 is ongoing. They're putting the sewer in. Ed's been out there inspecting. That's going along pretty fast. We are going to decommission the Cannon Street well. I've talked to the state. We've got that taken off. It's been, so we don't have to sample there. We don't use that well. It will be, Robert knows, his guys, I think, have disconnected the electric. We'll be tearing the building down. Underwood will be coming and decommissioning the well, so it'll actually be a vacant lot there on Cannon Street that we'll come back to y'all to do whatever we feel we need to do with it. To Ms. Hawkins' point, the town is growing by leaps and bounds. Just understand that our guys visit every residence every day throughout this town. You said we have 10,742 residents. Now, that's not houses, but that equates to each guy is responsible for 767 people in this town by himself if he has to individually deal with residents. So there's a lot each one of these guys have to put up with and deal with, and they do a tremendous job with as much as this town has grown and our employee base has not grown. So just want to take that into consideration to understand that we do have, the guys do get in a hurry, but they're just trying to do the best they can. And if y'all got any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions? All right. Ms. Manning. Ms. White, you next.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Just a few updates for finance. Now that the 2023 audit has been completed, I've placed a printed copy of the final audit at your seat for your records. We're beginning to look at the budget for the next fiscal year, and finance is getting ready for the vision setting meeting.
I didn't mean that, Jessica. I didn't mean that.
Yes, you did. For the Green Lamp program, we've had, 103 applications approved so far for the one-time $85 assistance program. It began last January, so customers can now reapply for the new year since their one-year mark is up, and that's all I have.
Okay.
So the program is not depleted?
No, ma'am, it's not.
Someone was led to believe that there was no more funding.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a one-time year.
Okay.
After that year, you can reapply
Okay.
again until the money is depleted.
Okay, then.
Thank you. Ms. White. Chief Moore, you're up next.
Good evening. Just a little wrap-up of the fall programs. We finished up baseball, football, soccer, and cheer. December 9th, we had the Christmas parade and the tree lighting ceremony. There were over 54 participants in the Christmas parade. The Christmas tree lighting ceremony, I think, was a great turnout. Councilman Moy, thank you for reading The Night Before Christmas. Right now, we are gearing up for our late winter spring programs. Just some of the activities that we are working on is the Daddy-Daughter Dance in February, spring baseball registration. A new program that we are trying is track and field and cross-country conditioning program, so something a little bit different. And then also starting tomorrow night is Zumba. We're starting that back. And then on Thursday, we have our Golden Age Senior Program. That's 1:30 to 3:30. And we also have yoga Thursday night.
All right, hot yoga.
Come on.
All right.
Thursday.
All right. Oh, Zumba. I'm ready. All right, let's get it moving. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Chief Williams, come on down after.
Oh, I was like,
no,
did you skip?
Chief Moore. Yeah, I got Chief Moore.
You do.
I'm
Want to
moving
leave you alone.
So we have
finished our year end. Now we're doing the fun stuff. We're doing all the documentation and tying up all the loose ends. We have finished 2023 with somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 hours of training. That included 5 live fire trainings that you're all familiar with out at Villa Grande, and the rest were on Main Street this year. We got a couple in the hopper for 2024, although they're not quite ready yet. We had about 1,500 incidents, almost exactly 1,500, and 346 initial fire inspections. That didn't include plan review or re-inspections. We did complete our annual hose test, pump test, ladder test, and SCBA testing in December. And we started 2024 off. We've got the driver operator training series scheduled. That's about 300 hours from March to October. It may actually run into November. We've also scheduled the technical rescuer and technical rescuer vehicle and confined space and trench classes. They'll take pretty much all year to get through that. We're about halfway through Fire and Life Safety Educator 1, and when that's finished, we'll do Level 2 and Level 3. And so far in 2024, we've had 44 calls as of today. Any questions?
Thank you.
Chief, how many do you have in your class for level 2 and level 3?
For Fire and Life Safety Educator?
Yes.
We haven't registered those yet. I think we had 26 for Level 1.
Good job.
Robert, you next.
Council, let me get my mic right this time. I got in trouble last time.
Yes, Chief, you're too tall, so you got to get down on the mic.
So we got some good things happening in the police department. First, I wanted to thank those of you who attended our Shop with a Cop event. That was awesome to have the hierarchy of the town there and represent. So it was that much better of an event because you were there. So thank you. We have two new officers swearing in tomorrow. That's a good thing. We have one that will complete BLET in February, which will greatly help with our shortfalls in the department. We have some traffic calming signs, electronic traffic calming signs like you've seen on Cooper Street. We have 3 more inbound. Hopefully that will help with some of the neighborhood hotspots and complaints with speeding within the neighborhoods. We will continue to reach out to the community as best we can with our different events, not based on success, but based on their need. We were very successful this year with our Cops on the Roof. Even though Walmart did not let us on the roof, they offered us a scissor lift instead, so we were nearly on the roof. And again, I mentioned our Shop with a Cop event. We had 12 kids we took shopping, 6 different families, spent a bunch of money, had a really good time. There were nobody there without a smile, to include the mayor. So number one shopper right there.
That's right, bro.
So we are going to continue to do what we do, and we always seek to improve ourselves as well as help from outside to improve ourselves. So any way you can help with that, and I stand ready for any questions.
Any questions for Chief? If not, I tell you what, Council, if you get a chance this coming up year, you should go shop with the cops. I had so much fun with them kids and their parents and the police officers, the way they was interacting with the kids, and it was just fun. I mean, it was totally fun. It was my first time doing it with them, and I'll be doing it again. But it was an awesome time. I think we got the biggest kids in the police departments. I tell you.
Our toys are more expensive.
Yeah, but it was fun. Great job, guys.
Thanks, sir.
And ladies. Robert.
And I too would just like to thank the police chief for that voodoo that they do. The electric department. Let's see. We're continuing with infrastructure installation in Eli's Ridge and Copper Creek. Doing some substation maintenance. I am tickled to death to tell you guys that the materials delivery is improving. We are getting transformers in almost weekly now from that large order we placed.
Excellent.
All right.
Cemetery, I know we were asked earlier about the cemetery, what's going on with that. We had scheduled to do a utility relocation this week, but because of tomorrow's weather event, we pushed it back till next week. We'll get the utilities relocated. We found a few things out there that we weren't prepared for, but we will be preparing for.
Engineering projects right now, the Old Tar, obviously, those engineer drawings should be approved. We're supposed to receive them no later than the 15th for final review. That project at that point will be ready for bidding. The rate review and infrastructure evaluations, some of those items are in the very infancy right now. That should start later this month in high gear. Wonderful news, gas prices are trending positively for the winter. I'll hope and pray that the good Lord sends smiles on us and that continues. I think earlier we were asked about, what citizens can do to help. Obviously, we depend on town citizens a good deal, particularly during outages. We need them to call and let us know what they see, what they hear, their eyes and ears. Same on street lights. What I will tell you, though, is Public Works and Electric prepare for storm events year-round. Our guys are constantly doing right-of-way work to protect the town's assets, and I think that's evidence each time we have a storm. Historically, we've had very few outages, and that's a testimony to the guys we have working on staff. And that's all I have for right now. If you got any questions, be more than happy.
Anybody have any questions for Robert? If not, thank you.
Anybody know the score?
Yeah, 7-3.
Okay.
Yeah, Michigan 7.
Okay, just checking.
Washington 3. Well, can I make an executive decision right here?
About human resources.
No, I want the council to look at these announcements, govern themselves accordingly. Don don't have to read the announcement. Only announcement that I'm gonna talk about here is, the tribute breakfast that is Thursday at, Pitt Community College for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The town has a table.
Yes.
So if you can attend, it starts at 9 at the Chris Smith Multipurpose Room at Eddie and Joe Allison Smith Center on the campus of Pitt Community College. And if the public would like to attend, the tickets are $15.
Mayor.
So you can contact,
We've already.
I'm saying the public.
Oh.
I was saying the public.
Gotcha.
Mayor,
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
our human resources person, you did not call on her to report.
She's not doing a report this
She's
month.
not doing it. right.
Okay, then. I just want to make sure we
She's
get
not doing
them
the
out.
report. Right.
Okay.
All right. I got
Thank
you.
you.
I got you. All right. But, so that's that. But Don, you,
Two quick things. I've heard from, I think, 4 of you about the breakfast, and if anybody else is planning on going, just let me know so we can plan accordingly for the table. And I would ask one thing on the schedule for tonight. As we put it together, and I put it at your place, you will see in yellow, Monday, August the 12th, is your regular council meeting. That will conflict with Electricities this year. And I would ask that you reschedule that tonight so we can get all our calendars for the year.
Don stole my thunder.
what date? Give us the date so we,
I would,
The 5th
okay, August the 5th.
is my suggestion, which
Okay.
would put the agenda review meeting back to the 1st.
Okay. So August the 5th. Okay,
It's all right.
all right,
you stole my thunder.
okay.
You stole my thunder.
All right, Thunders.
And I'll make those changes if you, could we make, we don't
need a motion on that, do we?
We don't need a,
Well, you do vote on the town meeting calendar, sorry, King.
Yeah, I was going to say, since we vote on the whole year, let's have a vote to
Okay,
amend that
all right.
one.
Okay. Can I get a motion to amend the August dates to August the 5th for the regular council meeting?
I move that we amend the August 12th date to August 5th.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Got a motion by Councilwoman Smith, second by Dr. Harrell. Any questions? If none, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you. Start with King. King, it's on you.
Mayor, I have no report tonight, just like to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna start with Ms. Hawkins, and we'll go this way.
Okay. Start with me. I'm a little long-winded. I know why
That's
the
why I
mayor did
started
that.
with you.
I know. Okay. So, First of all, I would like to echo the Attorney King. I would like to wish you all a peaceful and progressive year. And just to say that it takes a combination of grit and grace to represent all of the people here in the town. I also joined Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem with meeting and greeting some of the families with Shop with a Cop. I was able to come back and help families wrap gifts. That was very heartwarming to me, and I think that that is an amazing event. Also, just to make a note to Public Works, Cliff, and just to let him know that different perspectives are taken. I appreciate his sharing that the public work employees do the job for close to 11,000. I appreciate your perspective. I want to tell you thank you, and that is why conversations count. Thank you very much, and again, Happy New Year to all.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say, welcome back, Mr. Harvey. We glad to see you back into the captain seat again.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back, I think.
You think?
And that doesn't reflect you all.
Oh.
He can tell that staff has missed him greatly.
Oh, yes. And secondly, I'd like to say that everyone please prepare for the change of weather coming up on Tuesday. Do all you can, be safe, look out for your little ones and your pets, and always check on us senior citizens also. And also, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone.
Dr. Harrell?
I'd just like to say thank you to staff. The Shop with a Cop was amazing. I was glad to be a part and meet the families and to kind of listen to the things that the parents had to say, and they were extremely grateful. So I wanted to say that to you all. You put a smile on the children's face. Happy New Year to everyone, to the staff, to your families. Wishing you all, just prosperity throughout the year. I'm a quotes person, and I just want to say this to the council, to the new council and the season. I guess I'm seasoned at this point, maybe. But anyway, just a quote from Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. We were elected to be together, to be on this council together. But working together is what's going to make us successful, and we need to continue to work together and strive for the best for the town of Winterville. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
I'd like to thank everyone for everything that they've done to keep our town good and keep us with our services and everything. And that this weekend we're pausing to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King and all the things that he made possible through his leadership. And let's all reflect on them and think about the ways that we can make the world a better place.
Ms. Smith?
Yep, and so going last, everything they said, but also, it's a great honor to be able to work with everybody in this new capacity. I greatly appreciate everybody on this council, and especially all of our department heads and your departments and all the great things that you do behind the scenes that are often unlooked and unknown about. As our town grows, our town has grown immensely and in a very positive way, and I am grateful to be able to live in this great city.
Ms. Parker?
Just want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks to staff. You guys are as busy as you ever have been, and I appreciate all you do, and thanks to council. Looking forward to working with this new group.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins? Ms. Harrell, you have something?
Also, just want to say, kind of echo what Councilwoman Robertson said about about Martin Luther King Day and making sure that we're all unified, and also that in the mayor's absence, I will be giving the welcome on behalf of the town of Winterville at the tribute breakfast at Pitt Community College. So, thank you.
Mayor, I forgot one thing. I'd like to thank the chief for an excellent dinner and a celebration and the recognition that you restore to all of the volunteers and the EMS guys. You did an excellent job. I'm so proud of this town and what we do and what they have done for us and what they are going to continue on doing for us. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Chief, for outstanding job. What did I do?
No, it's something else. She handed me a mask because I've been coughing over here. That's because I'm hungry.
Coughing because you're hungry?
I'm coughing because I'm hungry. My stomach is empty.
That's a new one.
But anyway, I don't have anything to say because everybody said everything I wanted to say. From shop with the cops to the fire department, great time with them, to the great staff that was there with us, Christmas that came out, and to this, just a great town that we live in. And all I can say is, look out 24, here we come. And with that, can I get a?
I move that we adjourn.
All right, got a motion on the floor that we adjourn by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Ms. Robertson, that was enthusiastic.